Hey guys, welcome back. Bite Size Builds, episode 6. I'm Enigmius, and today we're doing the last little bit of detailing on the main level of our magic platform before we start moving on. In order to understand what we're going for, we'll take another look at our inspiration here. This is the picture that kind of got this whole thing going. And what you'll notice, you've probably already noticed from previous episodes, is that it's basically overlapping triangles and circles with kind of weird symbols here and there in the overlapping part, and different circles are made out of symbols and things of that nature. Very difficult to duplicate that kind of detail in Minecraft, even with micro blocks, especially on the scale that we're working on. We're not actually big enough to get proper detail into those kinds of symbols. So we're going to do the next best thing, which is something that resembles non-uniform symbols, irregular shapes that aren't large and aren't very busy. They aren't there to kind of grab your attention and hold it, but don't require us to do that super level of detail to make them actually look like things that could make sense. So to get that whole thing started is yet another temporary dirt circle. This one is basically sized to line up with the points of the smaller equilateral triangle, the white one in the middle. And then from there, we want to divide it up into different segments. And we're not so much interested in the segments as we are the points on the circle that are defined by the lines that create the segments. So you can see we've got the 4 lines that we started with, and they reach different points on the circle. And then we've got these 45-degree lines that reach other points on the circle. And we're kind of marking them with a little bit of netherrack. I don't know if you'll be able to see it too well, but we're kind of putting netherrack blocks at the end of the lines. But what it brought us to is this line that we're working on now is basically trying to divide the existing 8 segments into 16 segments in a way that looks as uniform as we can get without having to get all mathy. We do that with patterns, just like we've done anything else with the triangles or anything like that. And in this case, it's a repeating 2-3 pattern. And you can see very, very clearly, actually, this is a pretty decent camera angle to illustrate it. It's just 2 blocks, step over 3 blocks, step over 2, step over 3, 2, 3, 2, 3. Easy stuff, right? That gives us our extra points on the circle so that it looks a little bit more involved than just, 4 points, 8 points. Would look kind of generic, I think. I don't even know if generic is the word that I want to be using, but you get the idea. Nothing about it would stand out. But if we get it down to 16 points and they look pretty uniform, then we might be onto something that looks a little bit more interesting than the status quo. And you can see here we've got the completed circle, and now I'm putting in just kind of almost random little symbols, 3-block symbols, using a lime green kind of block. If you're familiar with Metallurgy 3, it's made with the Pyroxys ore that you get in the nether that poisons you if you stand on it. I have so much of that stuff. And I'm not trying to spell anything, I'm not trying to make them look like anything. What I don't want is just individual blocks on these points around the circle. That would look a little bit too plain. I just want it to be a little bit less uniform than that, but still being on the various points around the circle that are conveniently marked for us by the lines on the temporary circle that's just a few blocks above us. Then we're doing the same thing basically at the points on the end of the lines on the outer edge of the circle, only this time we're using purple blocks. Again, this is a block from Metallurgy 3. Calendrite, I think, is the name of the ore that you get, and you can convert it into purple ingots and purple blocks. And then once we've got just one block in place to mark each one, because we're having to fly around. I've actually upgraded my power suit so that I can fly now. If you don't have flight, you can still make little temporary platforms out to wherever you need to be. That's not a big deal. But just to keep things easy, I just marked each spot with one of the purple blocks, and then we're going to clear the circle out of the way, and then we'll go around and basically do the same thing we did with the green blocks, which is just turn them into 3-block patterns, whatever, happened to strike my fancy at the time. Again, we're not trying to necessarily spell out anything meaningful. We're just doing a little bit more detail than the single blocks that we've got. So the next episode, we're going to be starting on the next layer. Again, this is going to be a layered kind of a platform setup as opposed to a building with walls and a roof. We're going to get started on that. We're going to do some more work with circles and triangles and various different details. It should be really, really cool. I'm really happy with the way it's looking so far, and we've only got an unlimited amount of sky left to play with. So if you want to be notified when I add that episode, the easiest way to do that is to subscribe to my channel. You can also follow me on the social media, the Twitter and the Google Plus. Information for those is in the information section below the video. As always, please leave your comments and feedback. I read all of them. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care.